interesting customization. She only has one evolutionary leap in the main, and she's got the 2 Lambholt pacifists. So again, there's a lot of different ways that you can build these green-white tokens deck, and quite frankly, all of the major decks all have their own little things that you can tweak.
So it looks like we are in the middle of game 2. Emma is currently up a game against Todd, but Todd has a decent-sized board here. Looks like he has a Lambholt pacifist with a 1/1 token on it and a Thalia's Lieutenant on the battlefield.
So in my experience, the thing that Emma most needs, at least my experience of playing this matchup, are the really big 5 and 6 mana plays that catch you up from behind, specifically cards like Tragic Arrogance, Planar Outburst, and Linvala. It looks like Emma has 2 Linvala and 2 Tragic Arrogance. We can see she already cast one of them, and those are going to be the big ways that she's able to stabilize and catch up from behind, because Todd is likely to always be ahead in the early game.
Now that being said, this 4/5 is pretty nice.
A 5/5.
The Sylvan Advocate, she has a 4/5.
Oh, yeah.
Todd's 5/5 is also very nice.
Yeah, Todd's 5/5 beats Emma's 4/5. Jamoka's Command may have something to say about that, but...
So it looks like we've got an Evolutionary Leap.
And I'm a little surprised to see that in post-board, since Evolutionary Leap is usually something that you want to... in like an attrition war, but it does act as a nice way to flip your Avacyn and find your Avacyn, which can be a key card in this matchup. So a little surprised to see Emma have this, but I look forward to seeing what she can do with it.
All right, well, Todd is going to attack with his team. Emma's going to flash in an Archangel Avacyn. Looks like Todd has a Dramoka's Command, so with the trigger on this deck, I think we might see a counter on my Avacyn, killing your Avacyn with the fight.
Yeah, I believe that's the best move. If she tried to do a fight with the Butcher of Lambholt, it would likely die in combat. The other thing that's nice is if you can get your Avacyn to a 5/5, that just means it's always better than your opponent's Avacyn. So that's like one of those things that for face value is a minor upgrade, but the implications are quite big.
So the Sylvan Advocate did not die in combat because it had Indestructible from the Avacyn trigger. But Emma did still take 6 damage and fell to 2, and she's just going to go ahead and scoop this game up. So we're going to move on to game 3 between Todd Stevens on Bant Humans and Emma Handy on green-white tokens. Let's take a quick look at their sideboards and see if we can figure out what cards they brought in for the match. So Emma has 2 Linvala the Protector, 2 Den Protector, 2 Linvala the Preserver, 2 Den Protector, 2 Declaration in Stone, 2 Angelic Purge, 2 Tragic Arrogance, an Evolutionary Leap, a Clip Wings, an Aerial Volley, and 2 Silk Wrap. How do we think that she sideboarded?
So in the last turn of the game, we saw Emma sacrifices her Sylvan Advocate to activate Evolutionary Leap, and the card she was most certainly digging for in that situation was Linvala the Preserver. Definitely one of the better cards in the matchup. I think that the Angelic Purges are actually also likely to come in. It's a good way to flip your Avacyn, and you just need something that can kill a card like Thalia's Lieutenant if it gets out of hand. Sometimes your Jamoka's Command won't be enough. But the other card that's going to be an absolute all-star in the matchup, other than Linvala, is Tragic Arrogance. Tragic Arrogance is just for matchups like this. I think that she can also consider Silk Wrap. It gets a little scary to play Silk Wrap against a Jamoka's Command deck, but she does have the Oath of Nissus to play a little bit of guard duty and potentially an Evolutionary Leap also. So she might consider the Silk Wraps. I would probably prefer the Angelic Purges instead. This deck doesn't have that much room for removal, but we may still see Silk Wrap for those reasons, and we may not.
Right. So I have to imagine that Todd is looking at bringing in the same cards. He has 2 Archangel Avacyn, 2 Declaration in Stone, 2 Den Protector, 2 Gideon, 1 Graph Mole, along with the Linvala, 3 Negates, and 2 Profaners. Let's go ahead and jump into our players. Oh, that is not a 2-drop, Emma. You are not able to play your Linvala on turn 2, but she does have a Lambholt Pacifist. Todd's going to fire back with his own Lambholt Pacifist.
And we saw that for post-board, Todd brought in the Negate and the Archangel Avacyn. We saw both of those cards last game. I don't think there's a whole lot more that he'll bring in. He might bring in Profaner of the Dead to deal with tokens, but I don't think that that's particularly likely.
Well, Emma's just going to play a Canopy Vista and pass the turn. Both of those Lambholt Pacifists are going to transform into Lambholt Butchers, so they're each going to be 4/4s now that can attack freely.
And who is favored if there's a trade is a little interesting. Emma didn't attack, so it seems pretty clear that she's looking to potentially block. And Todd is definitely looking to be on the beatdown plan. Todd is usually going to be favored in the early game, so granted Emma could have had her own Dromoka's command there for it to be a complete blowout. Todd knows that if she did have a Dromoka's command, there's a good chance she would have fired it off.
Yeah, I was going to mention that's a really good spot to use your Dromoka's command. If Emma would have had one, she likely would have used it to make hers a 4/4, kill Todd's, and then get an attack rather than waiting for them to flip. Todd, however, is going to use a Reflector Mage to bounce that 2/2 Hangerback Walker back to Emma's hand, crash in for 5 again with this Lambholt Butcher, and things are not looking very good for Emma.
Yeah. That said, it wouldn't have been unreasonable for Emma to have a Dromoka's command and just not use it. She could have saved it for a card like Thou's Lieutenant if it were to show up. And if she wants to be on the defense in the matchup, which I think she does, she may, just kind of want to be more conservative with her removal spells, since she usually doesn't have a lot of them.
So this is definitely telegraphing an Archangel Avacyn out of Emma. And Todd knows that she has a copy of Linvala the Preserver in hand, so he's really just trying to put as much pressure on as he can and try and make it so that Linvala isn't going to be a huge blowout.
So does Todd have another Dromoka's command here? This is one of the situations where Avacyn is so good in these matchups where neither player has that much instant speed removal, because it's so likely that she's going to be able to eat something inside of combat.
So it looks like Avacyn is contemplating a chump block here on...
Well, Avacyn's indestructible.
Yeah, well, it's not going to trade with the creature. It's not going to kill the creature.
Yeah.
So Avacyn's just going to block the Lambholt Butcher. Going to take 2 points of damage down to 8. Todd is not going to deploy another creature because he does not want to allow Emma to also get a 3/3 off of her Linvala the Preserver. But I have to imagine that she's still just going to jam it here to gain 5 life and make a 5/5 flyer.
Yeah, it would certainly be a great play. Not sure what other options she has, but out of all the options I can think of, it's definitely one of the better ones. It would also be nice just to play 2 spells in a turn.
Now something like Collected Company here on Emma's end step for Todd could be very, very good.
Oh yeah. Hit a Reflector Mage, bounce one of the creatures, attack in for a bunch of damage. That could be the whole game. One of the things that's so hard to play, it's so hard to play around Collected Company, because a lot of times you just sort of do your normal thing and you just cross your fingers and hope they don't Collected Company into like 2 Reflector Mages.
Now, I was going to say, Emma still has this Hangerback Walker that she can play for 0 here. This is going to flip her Avacyn, and it's going to transform Todd's creature back.
And this is a great play in case Todd did have a Collected Company, because now Todd just doesn't want to fire it off. He's likely to lose whatever creatures he'd get off of it.
So this Avacyn is going to flip. Todd's going to use his own Avacyn to save his creatures.
And a pretty heads-up play here would be if Todd attacks with both of his creatures, because that Linvala has 3 damage on her. So Todd could potentially attack with both creatures, and it looks like he's going to. So he's fine sacrificing one of the creatures to Avacyn.
So that Butcher does need to transform back into a Lambholt Pacifist.
And now that that Butcher is a 4/4, attacking might not be quite as good of an idea, but it looks like Todd's going to go with it anyway and just try to force a trade on the Linvala, or just push a little bit of damage. Oh wait, they're indestructible. I'm crazy.
They are indestructible. It's just
the Twitch chat is probably raging
attack.
like, Boss doesn't even know how this works. I thought he played this deck.
Now it looks like Todd has another copy of Dromoka's Command in his hand and a Den Protector. So if this game can go long, he can get a lot of advantage out of those cards. And Emma just has a couple lands in her hand.
Another Avacyn is nice. Dual wielding Avacyns.
They got different names.
Yeah, it looks a little funny when you look at it on the board, but Emma's got the all angels all the time going right now.
Angel Tribal.
Yeah.
For those of you out there who enjoy the angels, this is the deck for you.
And this is one of the cool things that the green-white tokens deck can do, and one of the ways to basically get an edge against a deck playing a lot of stuff on the ground is just turning it into an air battle. If you can just have one big creature that makes ground attacks difficult, you can just start chipping away in the air.
Well, this could be a big turn here because Todd does have that other copy of Dromoka's Command in his hand, which could blank this Avacyn that Emma is going to try and play.
Well, the Linvala will still be a pretty hefty blocker. So I could even see Todd doing something like firing it off pre-combat, in which case Emma would be able to blow him out. It'd be a risky play. Not sure if Todd feels like he has to do that. He may just decide that he can't play around another Avacyn.
He also does have a 5/5 that he can attack with. So.
Yep.
So he's going to use his Dromoka's Command.
And this is a pretty big deal because now Todd doesn't have any good attacks, and he doesn't really have any good blocks either. So he's kind of in a rough spot now. Emma's got a serious air force, and with Todd at 11 life, she can put on a lot of pressure, and Todd doesn't have much to block in the air. If Emma just draws like a Dromoka's Command here, it's going to be GG.
Yep. All right, that Lambhole Butcher is going to transform back into a Lambhole Pacifist. Emma's going to take her turn. Let's see if she can find another spell.
Oh man, she is slow rolling that draw step.
That's to secure the waste.
Secure the wastes.
It's not the worst.
It's definitely not the worst, and she still has good attack. She can attack with, all of her flyers, and Todd has to essentially chump block with his Avacyn.
It looks like she's just going to attack with Avacyn the Purifier.
So I'd really like to see it attack with all the creatures because Todd would be forced to block either the Linvala or the flipped Avacyn, which means that Todd would likely be going down to 2. In this case, Todd can either go to 1 or simply trade his Avacyn with Emma's Avacyn.
Now, this is interesting. If he blocks that Avacyn the Purifier, that other Avacyn will flip, right? Or is it non-angel creature you control dies?
I think it's non-angel. Also, I don't think he has a block that he can make that would kill the flipped Avacyn.
Oh, that's right. So Todd is just going to block Emma's Archangel Avacyn, take 6, fall down to 5.
And I believe the Pacifist should be flipping again, but I don't think it's going to be particularly relevant in this game state.
That Pacifist should flip back to a Butcher.
And if you can get a little ahead with flying creatures and your opponent's trying to attack on the ground, you can just get to a situation where, they just can't stop you from killing them. The flipping the Lambhole Pacifist is a little on the insignificant side. It's just, making it 3/3 to 4/4, which is good, but I can certainly understand why it's not a high priority in a lot of players' mind. I spent a lot of time playing Huntmaster of the Fells, and with that card, it's a big deal, and I feel like I'm more in tune with those flips because of it.
Looks like Todd is going to unmorph his Den Protector. Let's see what he's planning on getting back.
I feel like he's probably going to get back Dromoka's Command. With the way he's tapping his mana, makes me think that, okay, yeah, he is getting back Dromoka's Command.
He's going to get back Dromoka's Command, fight off the Linvala the Preserver.
And Todd is hoping that Emma just has nothing here. If Emma had nothing, Todd does have a lethal attack here. But unfortunately, Emma has infinite chump blockers, and that flipped Avacyn is going to be able to attack on Emma's turn, kill Todd Stevens, and she is going to take the match. That is GG.
Man, those are some great draws. Just like running Avacyn into secure for Emma. So Emma Handy is going to take this match 2-1 over Todd Stevens. Green white tokens against Bant Humans. She's going to move on to 9-2 and put herself in great position to try and top 8 this event.